Gentlemen, most men live deceived. They believe love is one with flowers, sweet words, or constant availability, that women are attracted to the one who gives the most, listens the most, and tries the hardest. But that illusion is exactly what keeps them away. Now listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you isn't seduction. There is a type of man, cold, calculated, who doesn't need to beg or talk too much. Yet he creates a deep and lasting connection with women. And he does it without flowers, without cheesy messages, without eternal promises. He does it through touch, not too much, not with everyone, but with clear, deliberate intention. This isn't for sentimental men. It's for those who know that relationships are a game of power, an emotional chessboard, where the one who masters the language of the body wins. Do you want to know why a woman becomes obsessed with a man she barely knows? Why she thinks about him for no reason? Why she ignores the ones who give her everything? The answer isn't in what he says, it's in what he makes her feel without words. The most powerful and silent way to do that is through intentional touch, not a meaningless hug. Not a casual brush of the hand. I'm talking about the kinds of touch that powerful, self-aware men use to anchor themselves in a woman's mind and stay there. But before I tell you what they are, you need to understand something. Using this knowledge gives you power. You'll start seeing connection differently, and if you use it without emotional discipline, you could break someone without even raising your voice. This isn't about manipulation, it's about understanding influence, the psychology of feeling. Because where others improvise, you'll move with precision. So if you're ready to rise above emotional mediocrity and step into the realm of real power, stay here. Because in the next few minutes, you'll learn how to touch a woman in a way that awakens her deepest instincts without saying a single word. To understand the real power of touch, first you must forget everything you know about attraction. Forget romantic movies and scripted dates. This isn't about making her feel special. It's about connecting directly with her nervous system. The human body, especially the female body, reacts automatically to touch, even when logic cannot explain it. If you know how to touch with purpose, you can trigger emotion before her mind even realizes it. It's not magic, it's neuroscience. Every touch carries a message, one that skips the logical brain and speaks straight to emotion. That's the real battlefield. No arguments, no filters, only pure reaction. And here's the truth: the one who controls emotion controls the connection. While most men try to impress her with words, gifts, or effort, you'll operate on another level, a level where you don't compete with words, you communicate through sensations. Where you don't ask for attention, you create it. Where you don't chase validation, you generate it from within her biology. That's why understanding physical contact isn't optional. It's essential. Because touch activates oxytocin and dopamine, pleasure and attachment. But if used wrong, it can release cortisol, fear and tension. It can bond you to pleasure or link you to discomfort. And that's what separates the conscious man from the impulsive one. The impulsive man touches when he wants to. The strategic man touches when he must. Every touch has meaning. Every caress carries a silent message. Every moment of contact is a chance to position yourself as emotionally dominant. But touch alone means nothing without something greater: presence. Most men touch without actually being present. Their minds wander. What should I say next? Will she like this? That uncertainty kills the energy. The body feels it instantly. A woman can sense when a man is fully in the moment, when his focus is complete, his energy grounded, his intent calm. That presence travels through his touch. A single, conscious gesture has more power than 1,000 hollow words. Your touch should be like a signature: brief, silent, unforgettable. The second principle of Machiavellian touch is intention without need. What does that mean? It means your energy must not ask for anything. It doesn't beg. It doesn't seek a reaction. It simply gives, from strength, not from lack. When you touch with need, she feels it, and she withdraws. When you touch with self-control and emotional mastery, her body reads it as leadership. Remember, touch is not the goal, it's the vehicle. The goal is emotional positioning, to make her associate you with a feeling, safety, mystery, intensity, or desire. Once that connection is made, you've already won. Most men fail here. They touch from anxiety, impulse, or lust, and the body exposes them. Words can lie, but touch never does. Before you touch a woman, you must train yourself. Your body language, your breathing, your energy. If you're not in control of yourself, she will never feel safe with you. Because deep down, A woman doesn't crave a pretty gesture. She craves emotional structure. That structure is built through your presence, your tone, your gaze, and yes, through your touch. But not just any touch, a touch designed to leave a mark, one that her mind can't easily erase. Now, here's something no one ever tells you. Physical contact is invisible leadership. Every intentional touch sets the rhythm of the interaction. You're leading her emotions, silently, confidently. Even the strongest, most independent women respond deeply to quiet authority. An effective touch doesn't shout, it whispers power, and that whisper lingers. Because skin has no filters, it doesn't judge, it doesn't lie, it only feels. When you understand that, you can rewrite her entire pattern of attraction. The right touch, at the right time, with the right energy, doesn't just spark attraction, it creates a bond. A connection she can't explain, but can't let go of either. So from now on, stop seeing touch as a step towards something. See it for what it truly is, a tool of emotional control, and the man who masters that tool masters the game. If the female body is a territory, then her face is its emotional capital. Touching it is not just physical, it's symbolic. The face is where she shows her identity, her feelings, her vulnerability. That's why it's the most protected and the most powerful area to reach. Most men never go there. They stay in the safe zones. A friendly pat on the shoulder, a casual touch while passing by, because the face feels too intimate. And it is. But that's exactly what gives it power. What others avoid, the conscious man approaches with precision and calm control. When you touch a woman's face, you're sending a message straight to her subconscious. I can enter your most intimate space without taking anything from you, and still, you feel safe. That kind of touch, when done right, creates an emotional response no words can replace. It doesn't matter how many compliments she hears, how many men chase her, or how many texts she gets. Nothing compares to the quiet authority of your fingers brushing her cheek. In that moment, you're not showing interest. You're showing presence. But this is also where most men fail. The few who try to touch the face often do it from desire, from urgency, from need, and she feels it instantly. Her body tenses, her guard rises, and the connection dies right there. The Machiavellian touch to the face is not about kissing her, it's about making her feel that you already belong inside her emotional world, so that the physical becomes a natural extension of connection, not a desperate goal. And here's the rule. Timing is everything. Touching the face is never random, it's planned. Picture this. You're both laughing. Her guard is down. A strand of hair falls across her forehead. You don't hesitate, you move it aside, slowly, deliberately. But your fingers don't leave right away. They linger for just half a second on her cheek. Half a second, but it changes everything. It's not sexual, it's not forced, yet it stays in her body like an echo. Her skin remembers it. Her mind can't explain it. But her body already knows. This man can touch me like that, and I want him to. Another moment. She's sharing something personal. Her voice softens. The air between you feels still and heavy. You don't interrupt, you don't rush, you simply raise your hand and with your thumb, you brush her cheekbone, gently, silently, not to seduce, but to be present. That one movement speaks louder than any words. I see you, I'm here. And I don't need words to prove it. This kind of contact is devastatingly powerful because it bypasses her logical mind. It shuts down analysis. Instinct takes control. And in that state, you become emotionally dominant. Not because you take power, but because you know how to enter her world. But power always demands discipline. If you touch her face too soon, before trust exists, it will feel invasive. The right moment is only felt through awareness. Never rush it. The face isn't grabbed, it's explored. Touched as if it was something sacred, a work of art handled with respect. Your fingers aren't tools, they're instruments of perception. If your energy is rough or rushed, her body will reject it. If your intent is sexual too soon, the connection dies. The face should be touched from emotion, not from desire, from calm presence, not from need. Otherwise, what could have been unforgettable turns instantly into discomfort. Do you know why this kind of touch is so rare and so effective? Because almost no man dares to do it. and even fewer know how to do it right. When you do, her mind reads it clearly. This man plays in another league. From that moment, you stop being just another man. You become the one who crossed into a space no one else dared to reach. And she will remember it, not for hours, but for days, even years. Because when the face is touched with precision and control, it creates a bond that goes beyond logic, a connection that becomes emotional memory. Mastering this first type of contact means crossing the most important boundary, the emotional one. Once you've reached that level, the rest of her body and the rest of the connection become open ground, territory that responds to your touch naturally. Now, the lower back, this is another strategic zone. It's not erotic, it doesn't seem intimate, but it awakens something deep. It speaks directly to her instincts. When you place your hand there, you're not just touching skin, you're sending a message. I lead. You are safe. When it's done with composure, with masculine restraint and firm posture, it changes how she sees you. Most men never go near this area, or they do it awkwardly, from lust, from habit, or without awareness. But you're different. You do it like a strategist, because you know this kind of touch isn't about desire. It's about non-verbal leadership. Picture this. You're walking together through a crowded place. Instead of walking like two strangers side by side, you place your hand on her lower back, firm, calm, deliberate, and you guide her through the noise. You don't speak, you don't explain, you just do it. In that single gesture, she receives several messages at once. You're aware of your surroundings. You take control without arrogance. You make her feel protected, not possessed. The lower back is a sensitive zone, neurologically linked to feelings of safety and subtle sexuality. When touched with steady confidence, neither invasive nor weak, it creates a perfect balance between tension and comfort. That's what makes her feel your presence on a deeper level. She no longer sees you as just another talker. She feels guided, not by words, but by energy. You become the man who leads without asking, who moves with certainty, who knows exactly where he's going. But understand this, it's not the gesture that earns her respect. It's your inner energy that defines its meaning. Anyone can copy the move, but if it's done from insecurity or need, it collapses instantly. She will sense it, her body will reject it. Instead of safety, she'll feel tension. Instead of leadership, she'll see pretense. That's why, before you touch, you must anchor yourself. Your posture straight, your breathing calm, your eyes on the environment, not on her reaction. A true leader doesn't seek approval. He moves with quiet direction and simply observes who chooses to follow. Another scene. You're at a party or an event, surrounded by noise and motion. She's slightly overwhelmed. You place your hand on her lower back and guide her through the crowd. No words, just presence. In that moment, you do something much deeper than offer help. You offer structure. You anchor her nervous system to your calmness. This reaction is biological, not theatrical. Her body isn't responding to dominance, it's responding to stability. It recognizes you as order in the middle of chaos, as a quiet refuge in a world of noise. This kind of touch reveals something rare, the ability to protect without control. You don't push, you don't grab, you simply mark direction. And she feels it, a strange, grounding sensation that says, with this man, I can finally let go. Not because he takes control, but because he shows me I no longer have to hold it all myself. That's what creates emotional attachment. Not words, not promises, presence through action. Now let's talk about the mistakes. Mistake 1. Placing your hand too low. That's not leadership, that's premature sexualization. If you're not at that level yet, you'll destroy the energy instantly. Mistake 2. Too much pressure. This isn't about strength, it's about calm dominance. She should feel your presence, not your push. Mistake 3. Touching without context. If there's no situational reason, it feels forced. Touch must have visible logic, otherwise it becomes invasion. Remember, the Machiavellian man never touches by impulse. He touches with purpose. If the moment isn't right, he waits, because true power never forces anything. It simply knows that when the time comes, it leads. Here's what separates mastery from imitation. If, when you place your hand on her lower back, your entire body radiates composure, your posture straight, your energy steady, her perception of you changes instantly. You're no longer just touching, you're leading, you're reading the environment, you're guiding her through it, without words. And unconsciously, her mind begins to whisper, "I can follow this man." When a woman feels that, and she can't explain why, you've crossed from seduction into leadership. Attraction stops being effort. It becomes flow. The hand itself is one of the most underestimated instruments of attraction. Most men see it as a symbol of affection, holding hands, stroking, intertwining fingers. But if you do that too soon, you lose the mystery. The real power of the hand doesn't lie in possession, it lies in anticipation. Because the slightest brush, a fleeting, unintentional contact, can be far more powerful than holding her hand for minutes. Why does it work? Because it activates one of the strongest laws of desire, controlled scarcity. What is slightly out of reach always creates more obsession than what is already yours. When you learn to use touch as a scarce, high-value resource, you don't just spark interest, you ignite obsession. Let's be clear, this isn't about holding hands like teenage lovers. This is about planting a psychological pattern, a rhythm that keeps her seeking the next touch, the next spark, the next moment of contact. It's the art of introducing desire and then pulling it away, getting close enough and then disappearing. Imagine this, you're walking together, talking, laughing. Without warning, your hand lightly brushes hers, barely for a second, then nothing. No look, no comment, no repetition. But her body felt it. That single fleeting contact awakened her sensory system. Her mind might ignore it, but her nervous system won't. It begins to crave what it doesn't understand. That's how you plant desire, without saying a word. A few minutes later, it happens again. Your fingers graze the back of her hand while you're both looking at something together. Half a second, no more. Intentional, silent, calculated. And with that, you've started a new conversation, a physical dialogue between your bodies. Every touch becomes a sentence, every second of contact, a new command written into her subconscious. And here's the genius, you never actually take her hand, not yet, because if you do it too soon, you end the tension. The purpose of this kind of contact isn't to give, it's to provoke. It keeps her nervous system on the edge of anticipation, where desire grows without logic, without control. That, gentlemen, is real power. Because attraction isn't born in what's explicit, but in what's suggested. Not in full possession, but in the space between moments. Used with mastery, the hand becomes the perfect instrument for this silent game. But here's where most men fail, in the intention behind the gesture. If you touch her hand with hesitation, if you're unsure, if you're waiting for her approval, you lose. Because she doesn't just feel your skin, she feels your state of mind. If you're nervous or needy, your touch loses its power instantly. But if you do it naturally, with presence and calm precision, her body reads it as confidence. It translates it as emotional dominance, safety combined with strength. And this isn't only for the beginning. Even in long relationships, subtle touch is what keeps the fire alive. Anticipation never dies, it only fades when you stop creating it. Use it when she least expects it, while she's cooking, while you're talking, or in a quiet pause between words. A single brush of your finger across her hand can reignite the entire connection. Now, let's talk about the mistakes. Mistake 1. Overdoing it. If you touch too often, it becomes predictable. The power lies in unpredictable spacing. She should never know when the next touch will come. Mistake 2. No emotional foundation. If there's no basic level of connection, even the lightest touch feels invasive. Mistake 3. Ignoring her body language. If she pulls away or tenses, stop immediately. A strategic pause creates more attraction than forced persistence. Touch through the hand works because it stimulates a precise area of the limbic system, the part that connects tiny physical cues to deep emotional responses: trust, tenderness, longing, or tension. It's subtle neuroscience, but when done with awareness, it turns a simple hand into the most powerful weapon of silent attraction. And here's the most powerful truth. When you finally take her hand completely, that single moment will feel 1,000 times more intense than if you'd done it at the start, because you built it. Because there's a story behind it, a silent buildup of emotion, tension, and anticipation. It won't just be contact, it will be a culmination. And women remember moments like that with surgical precision. Here's the psychology behind it. Tactile memories created through gradual tension stay engraved in emotional memory for years. So from now on, never touch a hand out of habit. Do it with purpose. Do it like you're writing a secret message on her skin. Touch to provoke, not to possess. And you'll understand why some men fade from memory while others remain unforgettable. Hair isn't just a physical feature, it's an emotional extension. For many women, it's a symbol of identity, femininity, and self-worth. That's why they care for it, protect it, and rarely allow anyone to touch it. Which means, touching her hair is not a right, it's a privilege. This form of contact activates a very old part of the emotional brain. Why? Because from early childhood, hair has been associated with affection. A mother caressing her child's hair doesn't just show love, she sends a signal of safety. And that signal stays hardwired in the nervous system for life. So when you touch a woman's hair consciously, with calm control and grounded presence, you're reactivating that same ancient code: protection, care, and emotional closeness. But here's the Machiavellian truth. At the same time, you're asserting emotional dominance, because only a man who has earned unconscious permission can cross that boundary. This touch doesn't belong at the beginning, not on the first date, not even on the second. It's reserved for when trust has been built. Do it too soon and her defense system will rise instantly. Do it at the right moment, and the effect is devastatingly deep. Example: you're watching a movie together. She's leaning lightly against you. Your hand moves to her hair, slow, steady, unhurried. Not mechanical, but intentional. Your fingers glide from the roots to the ends, and with each motion, you wordlessly communicate. You're safe here. I'm in control. You can relax. Inside her body, chemistry shifts. Her heart rate slows. Her breathing synchronizes with yours. Her nervous system drops into emotional calm. And that's the moment attachment begins. She won't say it out loud, but her body will start seeking that same feeling from you again. Because what you created wasn't mere desire. It was emotional anchoring, a bond written in biology, not words. Another moment. She's talking about something serious, something that hurts. You don't interrupt, you simply listen. Then, softly, you move a strand of hair from her face and tuck it behind her ear. But as you do, your fingers linger for a breath, brushing her temple, grazing the curve of her neck. It's not random, it's not performance, it's gentle dominance disguised as tenderness, and she feels it. That touch tells her something words never can, that you see her, that you notice her details, that you're fully present. That kind of attention is emotional validation, a language few men ever learn to speak. Now, there are different ways to touch her hair, and each one triggers a unique psychological response. Running your fingers slowly through it communicates calm, control, and refuge. Gathering her hair and holding it briefly conveys strength and subtle authority. Caressing her scalp with your fingertips induces deep relaxation and awakens childhood patterns of trust and attachment. But remember, every touch must match your inner state. It's pointless to caress her hair while distracted, staring at your phone, or lost in thought. She feels disconnection instantly, and what could have been magic becomes hollow. Your energy defines the meaning of the gesture. If your mind is elsewhere, your touch becomes empty. But if you are fully there, calm, grounded, and intentional, a simple motion through her hair becomes unforgettable. Here are the fatal mistakes most men make. Mistake 1. Touching without permission. Hair should never be touched unless she shows full comfort and openness. Doing it too soon is self-sabotage. Mistake 2. Being rough or mechanical. This is not a salon massage. It's a slow, deliberate dance. Every movement should feel intentional, calm, and almost hypnotic. Mistake 3. Doing it with immediate sexual intent. This is not about physical conquest, it's an emotional ritual. If you touch with lust instead of presence, it becomes manipulation, and her body will reject it instantly. When you touch with genuine awareness, you create something no compliment or text ever could: deep emotional conditioning. Her nervous system begins to link your presence with peace, with rest, with safety. And once that happens, desire becomes effortless. Physical attraction turns into a natural side effect, not the goal. Here's the most powerful truth most men will never realize. Many women haven't felt a gentle touch on their hair since childhood. Their nervous systems have forgotten what it feels like to be soothed without demand. When you reawaken that sensation, you create a before and after in her emotional world. And here's the secret: that memory doesn't compete with other men, because most men never earn it. They never touch her hair with respect, control, and emotional presence. But when you do, and you do it right, she doesn't just relax, she stays, because her body tells her something rare. With him, I don't have to stay on guard. And in a world where most women live in constant tension, that feeling becomes addictive, more powerful than any trick, any chase, or any word. Now let's move to one of the most underestimated forms of contact: the shoulder and the ear. They might seem ordinary to the mind, but to the body, they're deeply emotional zones. Touching her shoulder at the right moment or leaning in close to her ear with intent can shift the entire emotional dynamic between you. The shoulder represents stability and reassurance. When your hand rests there, it's not a move, it's a message. I'm here. You can lean on me. In moments of tension, stress, or emotional overload, that single gesture becomes a quiet anchor, a physical refuge. Picture this. She's talking about something that's weighing on her. Her tone shows frustration, her shoulders are tight. At the right moment, your hand lands gently on her shoulder, firm, still, confident. You say nothing. Your presence alone tells her you're not alone. That's silent emotional leadership. No arrogance, no pressure, no lectures, just strength. And when she feels she can lean on you without losing herself, something shifts inside her. Her resistance softens, her guard lowers, and intimacy quietly steps in. You can take it further, lean closer to her ear, not to whisper something sexual, but something simple and grounding. A quiet phrase, your voice low and calm: I'm here with you, or you don't have to carry it all alone. That short moment, your hand steady on her shoulder, your voice warm near her ear, creates what I call strategic emotional resonance. She feels seen, she feels understood. Her emotions start to settle, not because you fixed anything, but because your presence absorbed the weight she was carrying. That's when her limbic system, the emotional brain, starts associating you with safety, with relief, with peace. And in the emotional world of women, that's how deep attachment begins. Example 1. You're walking together after a disagreement. She's quiet, lost in thought. You place your hand on her shoulder, not hard, not heavy, just present. Then you lean closer and say softly, I understand you. That one movement transforms tension into connection. Example 2. You're in the middle of a serious talk. She drops her guard. You see the emotion in her eyes. You rest your hand gently on her shoulder, lean close, your breath steady near her ear, and whisper, you don't have to face this alone. That single phrase, combined with touch, creates a powerful emotional signal. Your vulnerability is safe here. And that feeling is unforgettable. But remember, even this has its fatal mistakes. Doing it too early, before emotional openness exists. Without context, it feels forced. Talking too much, the whisper should be short. Power lies in silence, not speeches. Touching with insecurity, if your hand trembles, the magic breaks. Repetition without awareness. If you do it every time she's emotional, it loses power. Novelty is strategic. When done right, this type of contact merges emotional presence with masculine calm. It makes her body believe that her chaos can rest near your order, that her storm finds balance in your stillness. And that, gentlemen, is how touch becomes command, not through force, but through emotional precision. What makes this kind of touch powerful is that it works on multiple levels. Physical level, the shoulder and ear are close to the central nervous system. A single, well-timed touch here can trigger chemical shifts, a release of oxytocin, a reduction in cortisol, if done with the right energy. Emotional level, it silently says, you're safe. I'm here, I'm listening. Symbolic level, it communicates something deeper. I won't leave when you're weak. This kind of touch raises your emotional value instantly, because few men know how to do it with elegance. Most run from vulnerability, most never take on the role of an emotional anchor. But you're not most men. You move with strategy. A woman who experiences this kind of presence with you starts associating you with peace and emotional restoration. You stop being the man who shows up when it's convenient. You become the man who remains when everything falls apart. That kind of man becomes a lighthouse in her storms. And here's the best part: this kind of touch doesn't compete with other men. Other men may kiss her lips, hug her body, or hold her hand, but few ever dare to approach her inner world. Few know how to enter her vulnerability and do it with respect. When you do it right, her body remembers you, not when things are good, but in moments of stress, fatigue, and anxiety. Her mind might dismiss it as coincidence, but her nervous system never forgets. It will look for that feeling again, the safety, the stillness, the calm you brought her. So use this kind of touch intentionally, not as a trick, but as a tool of presence. Apply it in real conversations, in emotional moments, in silence when words would ruin the truth. Because with the shoulder and ear, you're not seducing through desire. You're building your foundation. You're creating the presence that outlasts physical attraction. And that presence becomes the structure upon which all future connection is built. When you learn to combine emotional support with strategic physical contact, you reach one of the highest levels of influence, the Machiavellian touch. And now we move to the sixth form of contact, the one that seems most innocent, yet hides some of the deepest psychological control, the playful touch on the arm. Here, there are no romantic declarations, no heavy seduction, no sexual tone, just a casual, harmless gesture that conceals a deliberate strategy of emotional anchoring. This touch doesn't aim to conquer directly, it aims to plant a seed, to enter her emotions quietly without alerting her defenses, and from there, to occupy space in her subconscious. Do you know what makes it powerful? It works because the human brain does not clearly distinguish between accidental and intentional touch when emotion is involved. A gentle touch on her arm at the right moment, during laughter, a shared joke, or a playful comment, creates an emotional imprint. Not because the touch is strong, but because it happens inside a positive emotion. That's the secret. Positive emotion acts like neurochemical glue. Your touch, brief and subtle, gets linked to that feeling of joy. Her brain doesn't just remember the touch, it remembers how she felt in that exact moment. And unconsciously, she begins to crave that feeling again, and with it, you. This is called emotional anchoring, and it works best when the touch carries no obvious romantic intent. Why? Because it doesn't trigger her logical defenses. You're not asking for approval, you're not chasing her attention, you're simply playing. And in that playfulness, you become an emotional constant, a source of effortless pleasure, a familiar signal her body starts associating with safety and delight. Example: you're walking together, laughing about something. You make a teasing comment, she laughs, and you gently nudge her arm, saying, "You're so wicked." That's it. Simple, spontaneous, but strategic. The humor, the closeness, the light touch. Together they plant a seed deep in her subconscious. The next time you share a laugh, her body will anticipate that same connection, that same spark, before it even happens. But remember, this type of touch only works when it feels natural and effortless. Never repeat it mechanically. Never do it on schedule. Your energy must be playful, relaxed, confident, never needy or tense. If your body feels stiff or your eyes seek a reaction, the touch loses all meaning. It must look like you're not trying at all. Because that's the paradox of power. The more it seems unintentional, the deeper it works. Here's the Machiavellian secret. By not appearing to chase, you create desire. This touch has another purpose too. It tests her receptivity. If, after your touch, she doesn't pull away, if she laughs again, leans a little closer, or allows it to continue, that's your green light. If she withdraws, you shift your strategy. The true strategist observes more than he acts, and there's more. This light, playful contact, repeated subtly over time, becomes a bridge to deeper touch. The gentle brush on her arm is like a scout, clearing the path for future intimacy. The touch on her hair, the hand on her lower back, the caress on her face. It's a natural progression. Women don't open all at once. They unfold at the pace of your awareness. If you rush, you burn the bridge. If you maintain tension, mystery, and rhythm, you create addiction. Because this kind of touch activates something ancient, anticipation. And anticipation releases more dopamine than satisfaction itself. More than the outcome. The female mind doesn't feed on obvious declarations. It feeds on subtle signals. So when you touch her lightly, make her laugh, create that small connection, and then pull away as if nothing happened, her body stays hungry. It wants more. But you don't give it, not yet. That's what creates obsession. Not attraction, but obsession. Ordinary men touch to get a reaction. Strategic men touch to leave an echo. The most powerful touches are the unresolved ones, the ones that linger like unfinished thoughts. That brief brush on her arm isn't just physical, it's symbolic. It tells her, I could, but I don't need to. Your power lives in your restraint. Remember this. Power doesn't come from the touch itself, it comes from knowing when not to touch. When you master that, you stop being predictable. You become a mystery, a man who feels within reach, yet impossible to claim. And in a woman's emotional world, that paradox is irresistible. Now we reach the final form, the deep embrace. The culmination of everything that came before. Not a casual greeting, but the kind of embrace that makes the world disappear, until only the two of you exist. A strategic embrace isn't just affection, it's an emotional insertion into her nervous system. It's the moment you cross the line between casual and essential. Why is it so powerful? Because it touches both the biological and the emotional at once. Skin-to-skin contact, synchronized breathing, as her body releases oxytocin, the bonding chemical. In that instant, the barrier between you and her fades. But this embrace requires timing and presence. It can't be improvised. If you do it too soon, without intimacy, it feels invasive. If you do it with insecurity, it feels awkward. If your mind is elsewhere, thinking about what comes next, you lose everything. An embrace like this must come from the present moment. Start subtle. Create the invitation without words. Approach her naturally, without tension. Let her sense the possibility before you make it real. If she tilts her head slightly, if her chest opens toward you, that's your signal. When you embrace her, hold her completely. Not like a man seeking comfort, but like one creating it. Wrap her with both strength and calm. Your arms should surround her firmly, but never suffocate. Give her space to breathe, but make her feel your structure. Your body should feel like stone, grounded, solid, unshakable. One hand on her mid-back or center, the other on her upper back or the nape of her neck. Let your chest absorb her, not crush her. Let stillness speak louder than pressure. Be fully present, no distractions, no phones, no stray thoughts. During the embrace, silence is the language. No words, only breathing. Slow, calm, anchored. Let your heartbeat set the rhythm. Let your breath become hers. For 20, 30 seconds, maybe more, stay in that space. Because that's when deep biological anchoring happens. Her body begins to memorize you. Her nervous system registers. With him, I can rest. That's the most powerful imprint you can ever leave. Because after that kind of embrace, no words are needed, no explanations, no promises. The gesture itself completes the story, ultimate connection. But beware of the mistakes that destroy the effect. Mistake 1, hugging like a quick greeting. This is not a social handshake, it's emotional immersion. Mistake 2, rushing it. If you fear time, you lose the impact. You must hold her long enough for her nervous system to respond. Mistake 3, hugging while distracted. If your mind isn't fully there, she will feel it. A half-present embrace moves nothing inside her. Mistake 4, hiding personal or sexual motives behind the hug. If your embrace carries expectations, even unspoken, her body senses it instantly and the magic disappears. This embrace must feel like a sanctuary, a space where she can release tension, lower her guard, and simply exhale. When you do it right, something extraordinary happens. Her brain begins to associate your presence with calm, safety, and deep comfort. You stop being just a man she has chemistry with. You become her emotional anchor. When this embrace is repeated with genuine presence, it changes how she feels with you. She'll want to be close more often. Her defenses will fall faster. She'll remember your hugs as refuge, not routine. In the world of touch, the deep embrace is the final move, the one that transforms attraction into attachment. It closes the circuit between emotion, body, and mind. And if you execute it with mastery, there will always be a before and after that embrace. So when the moment arrives, don't hesitate. Act with calm authority. This is not the time for doubt. Hold her firmly, but with care. Let the silence breathe between you, and when the time feels complete, release her slowly, not abruptly, so she feels the space closing softly around her. That is the embrace that marks your emotional territory. That is the seal she won't forget. That is the touch her body will remember in the quiet moments when she misses you. We've walked a long, strategic path together. 20 minutes of pure knowledge to transform the way you touch a woman and the way she feels your presence. These 7 physical touches, performed with intention and discipline, are not gestures. They are acts of emotional power. Not tools for manipulation, but instruments of influence, built on awareness, respect, and mastery. Because a true man doesn't chase attention, he provokes it through wisdom. Now you know them all: the face, the lower back, the subtle hand, the hair, the shoulder and ear, the playful touch on the arm, and the deep embrace that seals connection at its core. Use them one by one, with patience, presence, and calibration, and watch how the energy between you begins to change. She will start to see you differently, not as another talker, not as another man who insists, but as someone who leads without force, someone who doesn't ask for access, because her body naturally grants it, someone who can reach her emotions without a single word. That is authentic power. Now you stand at the summit. You have the knowledge, you have the strategy. But remember, knowledge without action is illusion. If you don't test it, fail with it, learn from it, it remains just a beautiful idea. So here's your challenge. Choose one of these touches, the one that feels natural to you, and apply it in your next real interaction. Don't wait for the perfect moment, create it. Observe her body language, sense her breathing, watch her reactions, refine your energy, adjust your timing. Be deliberate, be subtle, be present. Do it once, with full awareness, and you'll feel the difference immediately. She'll feel it too. Because without knowing why, she'll begin to remember you through those moments, those silent gestures, those perfectly calibrated touches, those seconds where her body felt understood. And when you see it work before your eyes, you'll want to perfect it. The rhythm, the tension, the precision. That's what will take you to a level of connection most men will never reach, the realm of emotional mastery. If this video has opened your eyes to a new language of touch, then do this right now. Like the video, subscribe, and share it so you don't miss the strategies that only a few ever learn. Test them yourself. Let other strategic men discover what real presence feels like. And tell me in the comments, which of the 7 touches will you use first? Say it out loud. Commit to it. Because change begins the moment you decide to act. Remember this, it's not about conquering with words, but about anchoring yourself in her emotional world. It's not about impressing, but about connecting with quiet authority. It's not about forcing, but about allowing her to want. And when you do it right, when you master these Machiavellian touches, she will start thinking about you without knowing why. That is the hidden magic of strategic touch. That is the difference between an ordinary man and an unforgettable one. So, until the next video, practice with intention, act with presence, and turn your touch into your emotional signature.